Hi, my name is Miss Rachel, and today we're going to do some STEAM experiments that involve ice and water. So our first experiment we're going to do today needs a timer. So ask to borrow your parents' phone or use the microwave timer. I don't know, but it'll need a timer, or because it takes 45 minutes for this to happen. So you're going to have to wait, which is really hard sometimes. And you need a paper towel, a cloth towel, a little bit of plastic wrap, a little bit of aluminum foil, some kind of container that seals. So you have your wrapped paper towel, piece of ice, and I'm just using regular old refrigerator ice, or if you have an ice, this is from an ice maker, but if you have an ice cube tray, you could use that too, and make some ice. And just wrap that up in the towel, and in the plastic wrap. And you may want to put all of this on like a tray of some kind so you don't accidentally leak water all over your table. Because I don't think your mom or dad or guardian would appreciate that. Just as tight as you can. There you go. And this is a huge piece of Tupperware, but this is the only piece of Tupperware I had here, so. And just open out in the air. And now leave this someplace where it won't be disturbed for 45 minutes. And then after 45 minutes, we'll get back to it and see what happens, okay? Okay, so here are the results of our first experiment. So this is the ice that was just hanging out in the room we're doing our filming in, and it's melted quite a bit. Oops, slippery. So that is this one. Then we're going to do our paper towel. This one has melted some, but not nearly as much as the one that's just been sitting out in the air. That's kind of weird, right? And again, our plastic wrap one. It's got a little puddle in there. But it looks like it melted just a little bit more than the paper one. Just a little bit, not much, mind you, but just a little bit. Okay, and here is our aluminum foil one. Oh, there's a little bit of puddle in here. Let's see, I don't remember. Well, I don't know. I think it's a little bit smaller than the plastic wrap one, and smaller than the paper towel one. So the paper towel one so far did the best. Then here's our sealed. Wow. So, I don't know, it's a little better than the aluminum foil one. Paper towel one might be a little bigger. I'm pretty close. Or no, that was the plastic wrap. This is the paper towel. So to me, it still looks like the paper towel one is the biggest. Oh, and it's still melting, right? And then our cloth. Oh my goodness, look at this. It hardly melted at all. It's a little wet. It is by far the most giantess one. So why do you think that the towel insulated it the best? You would think because, towels absorb water, perhaps. And so it had a layer of the water from the ice that kept it the same temperature. I don't know. I think that might be why. But it's interesting to see that the cloth did the best. So it talks about the different insulation properties of the things. So this didn't have any insulation at all. And this was the paper towel, which is kind of like the towel. And so it didn't quite melt as bad as the other ones. And then the plastic wrap, it melted a little too. The aluminum, I think, melted more than those two. And the one in the sealed container was just about the same as the aluminum foil. And then the towel was the best. Did you guys get the same results? I sure hope so. So you should have waited between 40 and 45 minutes to see any kind of differences. And I timed an ice cube sitting out just in a room, and it took an hour and 18 minutes for it to disappear completely. So as long as you're in between an hour and 18 minutes and 40 minutes, you probably will see some differences in what they look like. Okay? So our next one is where you're going to fish for some ice cubes. We have all these lovely ice cubes out here. We have a lovely piece of string and a cup of water. So my ice cubes have been sitting out for a little while, so they're already starting to get a little melty, and that's great because you want the water to be starting to show up on the actual ice cubes. So you're going to dip your string into the water, and then you're going to lay your string out on the ice cubes. I have too many ice cubes, but that's okay. And then you're going to take some salt. I just have table salt here, and take a spoon, or you can pour this out into a little dish and sprinkle it. I'm going to do it this way. Or use your salt shaker and put lots of salt on each part where the string touches your ice cube. Oops. Let's see if we can get this one to stick here. Oh. And we need to let it sit for 30 seconds. How many of you guys have been ice skating before? Huh? Do you ever go when they have it here? Never really gets cold enough in Las Vegas or Henderson to actually skate on a pond. But when I was little, I used to live in Kansas, and we lived out in the country, and we had a big old pond that the cows used, and it would freeze over and it would be really thick. And then Mom would take us out there, and we didn't have skates, but we would get up with our shoes and we would woo, woo, and we'd fall, and it would be so much fun. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and try. So we're going to pick one end. Oh, not yet, I don't think. Give it a couple more seconds here. So what's supposed to happen is the reaction between the water and the salt makes it actually colder. So the wet water on top of the ice freezes again, and it freezes the water in the string so that it sticks to the ice cube. So it's kind of, oh, it's not gonna, no, well, that's not working. See, it's a little sticky. Miss Rachel's too impatient. What? Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's wait a minute more. See, and that's what's good for a timer. Maybe get a little egg timer, or maybe set your phone for like 3 minutes and let it sit and be patient. Maybe find something else to do for a few minutes. Waiting is hard. Really, really hard. Okay. Oh, see? There we go. It's sticking to some of them. Oh. So the more area you have sticking to your ice cube of the string, the better it sticks. See? I had the long bit on there and then the salt. So what you need to make sure is that you have as much of your ice cube covered with your string, and put lots of salt down so that it sticks. So this is only kind of successful, but not every science experiment is successful. So sometimes you have to try again. Okay, for our next experiment, we are going to do saltwater drawing. So you're going to need some salt, you're going to need a cup of water, you're going to need a spoon, and you're going to need a piece of colored paper. The darker the better. And if you have like a paintbrush, you can use that, or I'm just going to use my finger, but or you could use the back end of your spoon to draw, because you're going to be dipping your spoon or finger into the water and drawing a picture. So for the salt, you need to put in enough salt so that once you stir it until it all dissolves, but you need to keep adding salt to it until it stops dissolving. So what that means is stir it and see how the salt, you might not be able to see this. So I put salt in there, but it all dissolved. I'm going to put more salt in there, just a little at a time. You don't need to go crazy, but I'm going to stir it. So I'm going to bring this close to you guys and see all the salt that I've poured in there has all disappeared. So we're going to keep doing that until it doesn't disappear. So saturation is when water has absorbed as many molecules of the salt as it possibly can. So then when you get to oversaturation, that means the salt can't dissolve anymore, and you have salt on the bottom of your glass. Same thing happens when you add sugar to like tea, or maybe you made Kool-Aid and you put a little bit too much sugar in it, and so there's still little bits of sugar floating around at the bottom. That means you've put too much sugar in it. And as much as we like really sweet things, and you don't want to drink this water at all, it'll be totally disgustingly nasty. Okay, so I think we're kind of at that point where you can see the salt floating around in the glass. And so now that water is as saturated with salt as it's going to take. So that was probably like 2 teaspoons, maybe 2.5. I don't know, I should have put it in the spoon before I put it in there, but I just kind of sprinkled. So you can try that too, okay? All right. Then we're going to just take our finger. I'm just going to start with a diamond shape. And you need to fill it in before it dries, because you want the water and the salt to sit on the paper. And salt is a crystal. So it's all those crystals are in the water. But when the water evaporates, what's going to happen is it's going to leave behind the crystals on the paper still. So that's why, since salt is white, you can't do this on a white piece of paper. You won't be able to see it. But if you get some kind of colored paper, you probably will be able to see it. So I'm going to do that, and then maybe a heart. So here are the results of our first test that we did. So you can kind of see the salt crystals. The diamond is right here, and then the heart was right here. And then we decided to like really oversaturate some water with like salt floating all around and stuff. And we did this, and if you'll look, it's still in the process of drying, but it's got some really cool crystal formation here. And so that's an option too if you want to try it. But we probably put like 1/4 to 1/2 cup of salt in just this little bitty glass. So make sure you have permission to do this, okay? Okay, so this is our last experiment, and we are going to do the magic pour. So this can possibly be really messy. So make sure you get permission from your guardian parent to do this. And maybe they want to watch you do it because it gets messy. The first time I did it, I made a huge mess. So, okay, so what you need is 2 glasses, some food coloring. This is not necessary, but it helps you see it better. So if you don't have food coloring, don't worry too much about it, okay? You need another piece of string and some tape and some water. So what you're going to do is you are going to pour some water, just a little in here. So you have to get your string wet. Okay, and pull it out. And then you're going to tape your string to the side of the glass. But if your glass is wet, it might not want to do it. Okay. And then you're going to tape it to the other. Okay. Now you're going to put more water in your first glass. And then you are going to put just 1 drop of food coloring. Oh. You should use a spoon to stir it up. But I forgot my spoon. Thanks! Here's my spoon. There we are. We have some lovely green water. Okay, and the thing to remember about this is when you pour it, you don't want the strings to be facing each other. You want the string to go across your cup that you're pouring into. Oh, maybe I made this a little long. So hold it, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pour, and what should happen is the water is going to follow the path of the least resistance and follow the wet water already on the string, and it will go no matter how much you move this. As long as you keep the string over this, it should go right into the cup. So let's try it. I'm gonna hold this. Oh, and look, see how the green is turning the white string colors. Oops. See, my tray isn't big enough. But slow and steady. And I have green in my cup on the other end. And I can move it. See, the string can't touch the rim of the cup or it'll spill out. That's why you need to have a tray or a plate or some newspaper down so that it catches all of the wet. But the wetter the string gets, the better it takes the water straight to the other cup. And there you got it. Your water went from this cup to this cup. And it did make a bit of a mess. But that's okay, as long as you know you're going to make a mess, right?